you're trying to force your will onto this kid, and it's going to end badly. And we see flashes of that on Tatooine before he leaves. We see flashes of darkness in Luke. There was a ball, a very simple thing, right? 4-year-old playing a ball, rolling a ball
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and
yeah,
forth,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then Obi-Wan held him and would say, "Take it." And Luke would come up, start walking. He's like, "No, no, stay there. Take the ball."
yeah,
And Luke would be reaching, take the ball, take the ball, take the ball, Luke. And, and then the ball just flies out, all of a sudden goes haywire all over the place. And it's like, whoa, what the hell was that? But like this real flash of like, whoa, and this little look in this kid that's angry.
Oh my
So
God. Mainly, I want to talk about Kenobi and
yeah.
just your original ideas and how it was supposed to be possibly a movie, and then it changed and went into the hands of other people. And
The obvious thing, when Lucasfilm went to Disney, the obvious thing for me was, okay, well, they're probably going to do an Obi-Wan movie because that's the one everyone wants. So,
right,
but I wasn't hearing anything about who was doing it and what was happening. So, I just started coming up with my own ideas for it, and then went up to Lucasfilm and pitched them. And that's really what got the ball rolling. Yeah, so it was really a matter of convincing them that there was a story there worthy to tell. And they did ask me in that meeting, is it a movie or is it a show? And
yeah,
I just felt, yeah, no, it's a movie. It's 3 movies I had, planned for him because I felt there were 3 different evolutions of his character. Um, going from uh, basically Obi-Wan Kenobi to Ben. That
yeah,
there's 19 years there, and it's not just 19 years of a guy sitting in a desert. There's
no, yeah,
fundamentally different characters. There's Jedi Master, Clone Wars General, jump into the middle of the fray, say hello there, and get fighting, right?
yeah,
To this really reluctant shell of a person, waiting to be called to adventure.
yeah,
So that was always fascinating to me. I just felt that the evolution of Obi-Wan to Ben was something that was really worth exploring, and that was really the basis of my pitch. But the thing that really hooked them, I think, in that meeting was when I said, and he has to have met Darth Vader in this
yeah,
time, and they were like,
yeah,
no, no, it's impossible, it's possible. I said, no, it's actually a fact,
yeah,
and I can prove it. And they were
yeah,
like, how?
yeah,
And so I said, well, you look at Return of the Jedi, and you look at the scene where Luke gives himself up to Vader, and he says, I still believe there's good in you, Father. And I said, and Vader replies, Obi-Wan once thought the same as you.
yeah,
And I was like, when did that happen? Because
yeah,
it certainly didn't happen in Revenge of the Sith.
yeah.
And it certainly didn't happen in A New Hope. So it must have happened in between. And they were like, oh my God, you're right, you're right. And so that's what really started the whole ball
That
roll.
was that was the opener. See, when I
Yeah.
watched that as a kid, I was always like, oh, well, he probably just in Revenge of the Sith, he probably thought that he could turn him, but he didn't. But we never really actually saw them. You're right. And that's always a kind of a qualm I had with Revenge of the Sith was Obi-Wan never actually tried to tell him like, hey, like, what are you doing? He was just like kind of arguing with him for 2 seconds, and then they just fought each other to the death.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That was it.
um,
So he never said, come back to me, Anakin. I believe there's good in you. Even Padme had
yeah,
said, there's still good in him. I know it, but he never
yeah.
said to Anakin, hey, come on. We all believe in you, buddy.
Did you ever pitch this to George at all, or talk to George?
Nope, because George was out of it by then because Disney,
Yeah, yeah,
Disney or Lucasfilm.
yeah.
So no, he wasn't a part of it.
I always wonder how involved he is with this stuff, or if he's just completely out of it.
Yeah, it was not involved in Obi-Wan. He was partially involved in Solo because he was the one who had started that.
Yeah. So with Kenobi, what happened with? I mean, I remember back in was it maybe even 6 something years ago or whatever. There was that interview with Ewan and Collider, and he was talking about how Obi-Wan was going to be maybe a trilogy and a movie,
Yeah.
and your idea, and then eventually it there was silence for years, and then turned into this show, which I didn't really resonate with. I mean, there were some cool moments that, but of course, when you have Ewan and Hayden on screen, or Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, I mean, how can there not be, right?
Right.
You get those even with fan films. But um, I looked at your treatment that was leaked online or whatever happened with that. Is that real? How Cody was supposed to come in there and
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, yeah,
Yeah, so look, my pitch to them was um it all came from character, right? So What's Obi-Wan feeling at the end of Revenge of the Sith? What's the primary feel? And I think I felt the feeling is guilt. Guilt. I've just killed my brother. Guilt. I'm responsible for unleashing this hell on the galaxy. It's my fault. I trained the guy. So it's guilt, 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 guilt. But I've got this secret weapon. I've got this baby. This is the new hope.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
this baby can make everything right. This baby can fix everything I've messed up.
Yeah.
So he's putting all of his guilt onto this baby.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for disaster, right? But
Yeah.
that's his plan. That's his. I'm not saying he was thinking clearly. He clearly wasn't.
Right.
Who would be?
Yeah.
So look, he's like like I said, Clone Wars general Jedi master. He doesn't know the first thing about a baby.
Oh.
So okay, I'll take it to the uncle and aunt, and they can do the baby stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll just stay. I was like, there's no way he would leave. He would stay right there. He's like, no, I'm moving in with you, and I'm going to watch over this kid, and because he is, the new hope. He is everything. It's the only way this gets fixed.
Right.
So he moved in with the Lars, and he was just making sure nothing bad happened to the kid. And as per the Jedi training, at 4 years old, the deal is I take him. You've done the diaper things. He's out of diapers. He can feed, and I can talk to him. I'll take him at 4. You'll never see us again. And we'll go off, and I'll train him. He'll become the greatest Jedi Knight, son of Anakin Skywalker, and we'll fix everything. We'll take down the Emperor, Darth, everyone.
Yeah.
Absolve me of my guilt.
Yes.
Fucked up plan, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But that's his plan. So in my film, Luke is 4. And he's like right on the edge of, almost there. Obi-Wan's about to take him away. And the main problem for Obi-Wan at the beginning is he's lost his connection to the Force. And he doesn't know why. So when we first met him, he's just trying to, pick up his lightsaber from across the room, and it won't work.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting way to just, take away Superman's powers, right? He's a Jedi. What is a Jedi without their connection to the Force?
Right.
And so a big part of the journey for him in my film, in that first film, was finding his connection back to the Force, figuring out why he's lost it and what he has to do to get it back. Mm-hmm. And the answer to that was, you have to let go. You have to surrender to the will of the Force. You're trying to force the will of the Force.
Yes, right.
With your crazy plan. You've got to step back, and you've got to let things be, and you've got to let the Force come to you. And so, because I always figured the hardest thing for a general to do is surrender, right? It's the hardest thing to do. And that's what he's got to learn to do. He's got to surrender to the will of the Force and get to that place where he can leave at the end and go, Luke, you be a kid. I'm going to leave. I'll keep an eye on you, but I'm going to let you be a kid, And so that, because it just made no sense to me that he would do that on his own. It had to be this massive story there that got him to that place. So that was his whole journey. And you can see in the show they get to that place, but I don't feel like they really earned it, because it wasn't really about him in the end. My story was all about his discovery of what he's doing is wrong. And realizing it's wrong, and then learning I've got to do something else, and that was done to him. He ended up, it'll get complex, but the idea was
get complex, man. I could take it. Get complex.
Well, when he just to quickly fill in the gaps, what changes everything, the inciting incident of the movie, was the Empire arriving on Tatooine.
Yeah,
Empire has been spreading.
Yep.
And it's only 4 years into the Empire, right?
Yeah.
So finally reached Tatooine,
and
it's like, okay, Empire's here, Luke's 4, we gotta go. And so Cody, I'd left the story of how they reconnected to someone else to do, in a comic or something like that. So the idea was Cody's taking the chip out, and Cody is now, oh my God, guilt as well, right? I'm so sorry for trying to kill you. I am here, ride or die for you. I will do anything you want. So Cody is like his eyes and ears on the ground in Mos Eisley. And so Cody contacts him, says, hey, the Empire's here. We got to get out. And then, of course, they've got a plan to get out. So anyway, when Obi-Wan eventually leaves Tatooine, everything goes wrong, and he ends up not where he's supposed to be. He ends up on this massive kind of space station. which is like a transportation hub. So, the only space station we've already seen in Star Wars really is the Death Star, right? So just, okay, well, what's a transportation hub look like? People from all over the galaxy coming and going. And so he falls in with this group of refugees there called the Karoo. And they're being kept there by this corrupt administrator of the station. And so he falls in with them and they need his help, basically. But they have their own connection to the Force, which they call something else completely. But we know what it really is. It's the Force, But
right.
so they kind of teach him, you're trying to force your will onto this kid, and it's going to end badly. And we see flashes of that on Tatooine before he leaves. We see flashes of darkness in Luke when Obi-Wan's trying to get him to kind of, come on, Luke, use the Force, use the Force. You saw little flashes of darkness.
No, really? How? Like what?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like how are you going to portray that?
Well, there was a ball, a very simple thing, right? 4-year-old playing a ball, rolling a ball back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And then Obi-Wan held him and we would say, take it. And Luke would come up, start walking. He's like, no, stay there. Take the ball.
Yeah.
And Luke would be reaching, take the ball, take the ball, take the ball, Luke. And then the ball just flies out, all of a sudden goes haywire all over the place. And it's like, whoa, what the hell was that? But like this real flash of like, whoa, and this little look in this kid that's angry,
Oh my God.
So the idea was, and Obi-Wan, other things happened, and so he forgot about that. But yeah, he gets reminded of that while he's with the Karoo, and he actually they take him to a place in their starship where they connect most powerfully with the Force, and he has this vision, and in the vision he's on Mustafar, and he sees, the dark figure in the cloak with the red lightsaber, and it's Anakin. I was like, oh my God, I'm here fighting Anakin. And they come together, and the guy pulls off his hood. It's not Anakin, it's Mark Hamill at 19, and it's holy shit. And Luke's turned to the dark side, and he's got to fight Luke in the dark side. And getting out of that is what makes him realize, holy shit, this is the path we're going down. I'm going to turn this kid into a Sith if I keep this up. And so I've got to get out of here, B, get back to Tatooine, C, secure him from Darth Vader and Reva, make them think I'm dead, all this kind of stuff. And it led to this really great third act where surrendering to this all was what allowed him to kind of reconnect to the Force in this great kind of Superman 2 moment, Then Superman 2 when he crushes Zod's hand, and he gets his powers back because he has learned to surrender. And that's what allows him to escape and get away at the end of the day. And the big thing with Reva was she was the one that ends up going back to Vader and saying, Kenobi's dead, I killed him. And in a fit of rage, Vader kills Reva. But she dies securing Kenobi's secret that he's still alive. And that's what allows Vader to kind of let Kenobi go. Because when we see him in New Hope, he's let that go. It's not that he gets that feeling. He's like, hang on, what's that? It's something I haven't felt since, it's like, hang on. So it's the idea that, he also needs to, let go. And at the beginning of my film, he is absolutely crazy obsessed with finding and hunting and killing Kenobi. That's all he cares about. And the Emperor's railing on him like, you got to let the shit go, man. That's Anakin. You're Vader now. Like, I'll let him go when he's dead. So the whole thing for him was the hunt. And we had this really great opening sequence where Vader took on 5 Jedis at once and just slaughtered them all. And it's like, because I figured Vader's like 26, height of his powers. And it was just an awesome sequence where he was taking on these 5 Jedi at once, and you got to see how just truly terrifying this villain is, and that's what's. And then of course you cut to Kenobi, and Kenobi has no powers, and you're like, oh man, Kenobi's screwed. He is screwed. So
it's almost like an Ivan Drago and Rocky sort of moment where it's
exactly. If Rocky, had lost his fists. It's just, how is he ever going to win? And so it just set up this really great confrontation that ended up happening on that space station. And that space station, there's a bunch of stuff that happens, but basically that space station was falling apart and everyone was fleeing off it. And so it was just, that fight happened on a space station that was falling into a planet, into a gas giant planet, and they were the last two on the station fighting it out basically.
So
And so
there's the concept of time there too, where it's impending doom
yeah,
almost.
for both of them, yeah. And it really got to a point where Vader won that battle, and that was the point, because that's the other thing I didn't buy about the show was that Kenobi would defeat Vader and leave him alive.
Yeah,
No.
no.
So it was no, Kenobi lost. He had no force powers, Vader beat him. But they had that pivotal moment of Kenobi saying, "Stop this, Anakin." Slashed the helmet open, saw the eyes, said, "I know it's you. I know you're in there. Stop this. I believe they're still good on you." Padme said it. I believe it. It's just, and that was again the whole point of it was to get to that moment where Kenobi showed that he still believed in Anakin, despite everything, still believed in Anakin. And it was really that moment when then Anakin said, "Nah, there's no Anakin here. I'm just Darth." That's what made the switch in Kenobi's head. Anakin is dead. I did kill him, and this new guy. Well, I didn't kill him. Darth Vader killed him,
Yeah,
basically, which is of course what he tells Luke, because
yeah.
I believe he believed that.
From a certain point of
He
view.
told
Yeah.
Luke. Yeah, exactly.
My God.
And that's
And
where
all and all during this, you would have, I guess, like swipe scenes where you go back to Tatooine and Cody's getting into some mischief or
no,
maybe
yeah.
something.
Yeah, well, that was a fun B plot. I figured, they have to basically, they get found by bounty hunters on Tatooine, and so they've,
My God.
yeah, they've got this. The bounty hunters, of course, working for the Empire, looking for Jedi, and they get found out, and so it's like we've got to race to like stop this bounty hunter from getting back to Mos Eisley. So there's this great speeder chase because you've never seen a speeder chase, right?
Well, we saw one in Boba Fett, right?
Oh, yeah, right, yeah, right. So it was this great chase back to Mos Eisley, but the guy gets a photo of Kenobi, and it's like, we got him, but he got the photo out, and so now you're screwed. The Empire's coming, and it's so they've got their fail safe, in event of emergency plan, and the plan is Obi-Wan leaves the planet and Cody stays behind and looks after Luke because he wants someone
Yeah,
there
yeah,
looking.
yeah, yeah.
So
Someone
yeah,
you could trust.
so
Yeah.
so Cody was a fun B plot. Which was really just kind of getting rid of the bodies and taking them out to the Sarlacc pit and dumping the bodies in the
Oh
Sarlacc,
my God.
because that's what you do, right? And
It's
so
Tatooine. Yeah.
yeah, you go to you got a body you need to get rid of, some
Yeah.
stormtrooper bodies, you just
Yeah.
go to the Sarlacc pit, right? And so that was the gag that the Cody and Owen take the bounty hunter bodies out to the local Sarlacc pit. And there's someone else there dumping stormtrooper bodies. And they're like, for a second, I'm like, no, we're all on the same side. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they just keep dumping the bodies. And then this really big speeder rolls up, and this really drunk little Jawa rolls out of it, and opens the back, and there's a gigantic alien that this little bad Jawa has killed, and the bad Jawa tosses the big alien into the Sarlacc. It's just a little fun. It was just a little fun backstory. And so basically, yeah, Cody was keeping an eye on Luke while Obi-Wan was away dealing with all this, and so when they came back in the end, yeah, he was keeping an eye on him. So it was like a B plot in the film.
This is absolutely incredible. I don't know how they went from that to what we got. I don't understand what happened, and I'd love to hear about if you want to talk about how did they get rid of you? Like why were you no longer a part of it? And they hired these other professionals, and I use that term loosely in this sense, but that's just
Yeah.
my opinion.
Look, it was more the simple answer is that it was really just a change in corporate strategy, as bland as that sounds. But when Solo didn't perform as they were hoping it would, they thought, all right, that's it. No more films showing characters that are going to survive because they're in later movies. That's what they felt like. Audiences don't care. They don't care to show up, and so unfortunately, we got kind of painted with that brush, and just it killed it. So the director left, and the whole thing got shut down. And then it wasn't until like a year or so later that they were like, "Hey, let's do it as a show." And so they pulled out my script, and then hired some people to turn that into a 6-episode show. Yeah, but I wasn't involved by that stage. I was doing other things.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that both as someone who's talking to you and as a fan of Star Wars, because I would have loved to have seen your iteration of that. I think it would have been everything fans wanted to see.
Get woke, go broke. Ain't no joke. Get woke, go broke. You're so damn woke.
Toxic, terrible man. Hey!
Go away now. The Oscars think they can go woke, but Hollywood will now go broke. YouTube give itself an award, and Susan take a fall on the sword. Get woke, go broke. Ain't no joke. Get woke, go broke. You're so damn woke. Get woke, go broke. Ain't no joke. Get woke, go broke. You're so damn woke. Get woke, go broke. Ain't no joke. Get woke, go broke. You're so damn woke.
The bestest ever in every way.
Toxic, terrible man. Hey!
Anyway, that's all I've got for today.